So a lot of the presentation today, we're going to talk about what business continuity is and what does that even mean. And we talk about backup. A lot of the times throughout history, we've talked about backup and why you need to back things up because, well, if you lose information, that's bad. But John, what does backup mean to you?
Well, for backups, in the old days, we were generally thinking of natural disasters. Here's a real picture from a school district, where the school district burned down, or it may have been, huge snowstorms or, hurricanes or floods. Those are still issues, but even more urgent, as I think folks on the call know, is ransomware. And it's really not just hitting businesses, it's hitting school districts. It is an epidemic where these bad guys are now targeting healthcare, they're targeting schools. Really with the pandemic, school districts have really become a target. You can see some of these headlines here. Specifically look at Buffalo. They had to closed school, 30,000 school district. The next example was really scary because we normally think of ransomware as encrypting the files, but in Clark County in Nevada, it wasn't encrypting the files. It was actually, they threatened to release all the student data that they stole. And 300,000 kids, the district wouldn't pay the ransom, and the bad guys released the data.
Wow.
Which is almost worse than having it encrypted. In the next example, this was something that just happened. 115,000 students at Baltimore County. That's where my niece is. And I was talking to her about it. And yes, school was closed. They had no idea when it would reopen again. And,
Was
just
she
when I was,
excited?
she actually didn't like it. It's been tough enough with remote learning and then have its school completely shut down. And, I could have had more slides about this. I was talking to another colleague, and a ransomware had hit in his home school district. So it truly is epidemic.
Those are a lot of really scary stories. And I remember when I was a kid, I was just excited for a snow day. I can't imagine nowadays, like there's so many different downtimes and things you have to worry about. And when a school is down, it can be down for weeks and months and way too long. So what is the evolution of cyber threats? Who are the bad guys? I wanted to pull out a couple of different tidbits of who are the bad guys to kind of talk about, especially in this work from anywhere world. I'm talking about ransomware developers. Ransomware developers, now if you think that especially with so many people being off work and not really being able to make ends meet, there's ransomware developers who just build it and then sell it as a service. So now they don't even have to actually, all they have to do is create the product and they can sell it to anyone and they just pull in the cash when people are getting hit. It's a massive industry. We look insider threats within your own businesses. Who has access to information and if they left it and they took it, what downtime could that, what threat could that put to your business? Organized crime. Unfortunately, there's countries around the world who just don't like the US or Canada. And they want to try to steal as much information from us to either steal it and take their cut of it or be able to sell that information to other countries. You have organized crime and nation state and then organized crime. A lot of the organized crime, of course, these big guys want their piece of the pie. They've been organized crime for a really long time. And then even IoT hackers is another one that we really want to talk about. With IoT hackers specifically in this work from anywhere world, you really want to think about in your staff's houses, if they're working from home, how were they actually connected to different devices? Because a lot of those IoT devices have backdoors in them. They're not meant to be security features. And if they're connected on the same networks as your work computers are, that opens up a potential threat. So I wanted to talk about some statistics here. Um, these statistics are somewhat heart-wrenching, but also super interesting just because maybe I'm a little bit of a nerd. But 43% of cyber attacks are aimed at small to medium-sized businesses. That's you guys. That's your bread and butter, and you spend so much effort working within these industries and growing your businesses. 85% of email attachments are harmful. Whenever I see that, I always think about that hiring spree that we're opening back up and businesses are starting to hire, and then you get an HR person that gets 200 or 300 emails a day. Can you imagine if 85% of those email attachments are harmful? That can be pretty scary numbers. 91% of attacks are launched from a phishing campaign. And it used to be, you look at a phishing campaign, you're like, I understand the language is off. I could see where this isn't a legit email. Well, there's a lot more targeted phishing campaigns that 100% look legit. They might be sitting on your accounts for a long time and they watch your interaction, so they know how you speak. They know how you speak to each other, and they know when you're going on vacation and when someone else might need your details. Cybercrime will cost $6 trillion by 2021. By the end of this year, we'll see that number be a lot higher, and that's just guaranteed based on what we saw in 2020. I love this statistic. 24,000 new malicious apps are removed from the App Store daily. I just thought the number is staggering because I didn't realize there was that many more apps in the App Store, and I wonder what kind of cool apps I might be missing, but hopefully not the bad ones. And then a business is hit with ransomware every 13 seconds. As we go through this rest of the presentation, just keep that number in mind, because it is really staggering and it sucks, but businesses are getting hit. There's a good chance even in your spam filters right now, there's probably ransomware sitting there that luckily you've already been protected for. But do your staff know? So ransomware is king. The business is growing so drastically. It's downtime cost organization over 700 billion plus in 2020. So when we talk about security, we're talking about the whole industry as a whole. Today's security focus has remained primarily on on-premise networks, especially when you're thinking about this work from anywhere world and everyone working from home. And we're seeing on the news articles that people aren't necessarily going to go back to the office as quickly, or if ever, the way we used to be. So do you have a backup solution or a business continuity solution?
Really, the first thing is to have that plan in place. We won't spend too much time on it, but have your recovery time objective and have your steps on what you're going to do to get back up no matter what's happening. And then the next thing is training. Desiree was talking about phishing. School districts I'm working with, the vector is definitely phishing attacks and phishing emails. And again, they're really getting targeted. And that's like a low-hanging fruit, is training your staff to recognize phishing emails, how to hover over links. So really starting with those two things, there's nothing really to buy, and it's something you can do right today.
Awesome. Thank you so much. The fact matter is what John says, people are your greatest risk. Your staff training is so important. And it's to furthermore on that scenario, it's not just making sure that they're trained not to click links. It's making sure that they're trained to even, what are their passwords? Are they using the same passwords on their social accounts as their business accounts? Or like this lovely human, this is the guy in Hawaii who does the alerting system. So he lets everybody know if something bad is happening, coming towards Hawaii. And this is his LinkedIn profile picture. If I was him, I would be pretty excited for my job. And this picture is really awesome. The problem is people are your greatest risk and people make mistakes. So on his computer, on his LinkedIn profile, there's his login to his password into his computer. So that's another example why employee training is so, so important. You need to train and always make sure you're having that constant conversation with your staff so they aren't doing something like this. Or if they have their passwords under their computer desk, that's another big no-no. So we talked about business continuity today and how that's looking to plan out what this looks like for tomorrow. So we know we need to have a business continuity plan that keeps your business up and running no matter if something happens, if there's an accident, a fire, or a flood, that you can literally pick up from another computer and keep up and running. But we still need to talk about SaaS applications. So think about right now, in whatever system you're using, whether it be G Suite or Microsoft, if you lost all your SaaS applications right now, could you continue on your day? I check my email first thing in the morning and the last thing in the day. I could not keep on with my day. And then even thinking about more applications you're using on a day-to-day basis. Think about how you're connecting and how many SaaS applications you will even have in use today, and then even where that will pass off till tomorrow. Business continuity tomorrow has to include SaaS protection. And there's a really in particular reasons for that. Even before I go through the next slides, I have to point out two massive things. You know that paperwork that you always agree to sign and you say that you read the fine print? Well, when you're signing up for these solutions, in that fine print, it actually states in their SLAs that you need to use a third-party provider for backup, because they're not responsible for any losses, whether that be for any of the reasons we're going to cover in a second. So if they're already telling you that you should be doing something and it's not their fault if you lose it, and then you already know if you lose everything, that's going to be complete disaster. That's why we have to have a SaaS conversation. This is why we're here, or one of the reasons why we're here, because we like security is probably the other reason. But so some statistics about SaaS SaaS data loss. 1 in 3 organizations will lose SaaS data. And that's not always because somebody is doing something they shouldn't be. That literally could be just the employees who are being nice and helpful. Or maybe you have, maybe one of those days, John opens up his email and it says you're at 100% capacity and you're not getting any more emails until you start deleting things. Well, a lot of employees will just start go delete things. Or maybe you have a new employee who comes into your office and is seeing a whole bunch of files and folders that nobody has touched in years and years and years, and thinks they're being super helpful by cleaning up and organizing things and deleting it. Then 190 days later, or however long, when you notice you need that access back, or maybe it's because of certain, you're working with a company that they need legally to have access to that information, but it's gone. And then we talk about malicious acts. Well, what about the bad guys? So whether it be, say, malicious acts might be staff. You might have, if you're in a business where you have sales or you have employees, and that information that they have is valuable, and then they leave and they take that information with them and delete it all. That's an example of a malicious act. Another one is going to be ransomware. We're already protected. With business continuity, we understand that we need to protect all of the platforms and the systems that we're using. So whether it be on-prem, hosted, cloud, and infrastructure need to be backed up. So we need to protect all of your data with business continuity with data and tech reformers. We have a reliable data redundancy solution. So physical on device, you're protected. That gets smashed. It's virtual as well. So you're double protected. There's a hurricane, the systems in the office go down. You have offsite cloud. North America, you're on the Western coast, and the Western coast goes down. Good news, you're third protected because we have an additional backup. This is what we talk about when we talk about business continuity. You're backed up in every scenario, so you're really protected, and then you can be back up and running as quickly as possible, as quickly as virtualization.
I really want to emphasize that if you could go back a slide. I just love the virtualization and the fact that when you have that outage, your RTO, that return to operations, it's literally in seconds as opposed to hours or days that we're seeing in those headlines, because you could either boot up to the local device, or if that's not available, you've got the cloud device. So just really wanted to emphasize that it's a bootable virtual device, and districts that I'm working with just love that, having that ability to have a bootable backup.
Excellent. Thank you so much. So we know that on-prem platforms are going to be moving to this hybrid world. This is why total data protection is so important. And it doesn't matter what your business is. If you might be a small mom and dad pop shop or a massive school, we have a solution that will help protect you no matter where your data lives. And that's not it. We also include, wait for it, ransomware detection. Now, ransomware detection, this is a game changer.
That's the other thing I love.
Yeah, it's a game changer, and it really will help you all sleep at night, and it helps John sleep at night because he's protecting your guys' data too, right? So with ransomware detection, we're talking about how you're backing up your information. Say you're backing up your information every hour. Every one of those backups has a screenshot verification that not only ransomware detection, so really good thing, but it also verifies that the backup is actually working. So at any point in time, John can send you a report of every time they backed up and every backup is working. Now, if all of a sudden we notice in the system that they've been backing up every hour and that screenshot is all legit, and now all of a sudden there's an issue, something's gone wrong, the system flags and says, hey, we think there's ransomware that's been downloaded. Let's roll back to a previous version. And then John deals with all of these problems and you don't have to deal with any of it. This is a game changer and will just help you guys sleep so much better at night. So we already agreed to stop talking about traditional backup and start talking about business continuity. So what's not continuity? Your cloud only, your local only, including tape. If you're still using tape, just question yourself, when was the last time it was tested? Does it even work? Where is it? Chance you might not have the answers to those questions. File-based backup, if you can only pull a file when you need your entire computer to be working, that's not an option. So continuity is your hybrid cloud-based backup. Like we talked about, you have your instant virtualization, so you're able to go back up and running, which helps deliver your superior RTO and RPO. Continuity, we got it, but how does it work? With instant virtualization, your computer, so my computer right now, if I got that red screen of death, I instantly can virtualize right to the cloud. I can go to my partner's computer, I can go to the box, virtualize in the cloud, go to my partner's computer, and I can instantly be back up and running. This presentation, 5 minutes before this presentation, if that had happened to me, I could still do this presentation with you guys right now. The benefits of virtualization, it's reducing your downtime. It's helping that RTO and RPO, which we just talked about, and then it's local and on the cloud, so you're completely protected. This is why it's so important to talk about total data protection, and this is why a conversation with tech performers is going to help you out. So, John, I'm going to leave it here for you to close out.
Yeah, like I said, I'm pretty excited about these features. You know, as a former CIO at school districts, I wish I had something like this and not using those tape backups. Yeah, if anybody wants to follow up, I'd love to talk to you and get you more information. With that, hope to see you out there all in real life sometime soon.
And if you're not sure, if right now you're not sure what to do, don't know what your RTO and RPO is, contact John, sales at Tech Reformers. He can sit down, 10 simple questions, and just have that conversation about the security of your businesses. And then, of course, John, I see you have an awesome needs assessment.
Yes, we can do a needs assessment, and we do a needs assessment at no cost, just to help you understand where you are.